But they got outscored by San Antonio's bench 32-29. So,
Oh, we showed all 29 here.
yeah.
Lead was 2. Bellinelli. And then Jakob Poeltl.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice block. Confrontation at the rim.
Well, he did block a guy named Drummond. So what you talking about, Andre? Lead 8. Somebody got that. LaMarcus with 24. Lay-in was good. Lead 12. They win by 12. 105-93. The final. Reggie at 22. Pistons fall to 2 under. The Spurs happy to be home. LaMarcus with 24 in the win. Meanwhile, it's winning all the time for Luka. Anybody happier playing the game of basketball? I love that. He'd be smiling a lot. Awkward jumper here, though, from Wesley Matthews, who, by the way, got a great reception from the crowd where he used to play in Dallas. Scary here. Luka drives. Watch Kyle Quinn's elbow. Ooh.
Reminded me of Karl Malone and Isaiah Thomas way back. Remember that?
He didn't get any stitches, but
No.
it did look familiar to that.
I know Zeke does. Doncic okay. Went to the line for 2 free throws, hit 1. Bogdanovic splash for 3, lead 5. Meanwhile, Luka, he's not that fast, but this is a fast break. With the slam dunk. Tied at 51. Bogdanovic is across the board, all had big nights. 22 and 4 boards. We're locked at 53 at the half. How about Dirk, Grant? Still doing this.
Dirk still doing it. Little trailer 3. We've seen that for years. I saw it too close.
Yes,
Too many
I
times.
was going to say. Wesley Matthews had a nice night. He's been very good since he's joined the Pacers, coach. Back in his old town in Dallas at 20.
Nice to see the reception he got.
Villanova, hi.
Aha, Brunson.
Jalen Brunson with a 3, and then Doncic, who just, these step backs, the pull-ups. Aaron Holiday, no. Deep. Brunson finished with 24, a career high. Doncic, 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in the game for Dallas, who wins it by 9. 110-101 is the final. We've got more to come on the other side. A pair making history in the ATL. Cold as ice indeed. About what the Celtics aren't doing, and even with the Sixers the other night, you don't have Embiid back yet because of the health, and how is Butler fitting in? It looks like Harris fits in almost better. Does that even work? The Bucks have fit in so well. And what hasn't gotten enough credit, I don't think, is the work that Bud's done with Bledsoe in that offense, because he didn't get the All-Star pick. Middleton did. But he's been terrific, having maybe his best season overall and a triple-double, his 5th of his career tonight.
Yeah, and I think the contributions of Bledsoe and even Middleton,
Brogdon.
Yeah. It's been overshadowed by the greatness and brilliance of Antetokounmpo, and certainly his play has been fantastic. But those other guys, and Bledsoe in particular, he's a guy who, who showed some potential in LA, was in Phoenix, and just never has quite sort of figured it out. And Bud has him playing well, and playing with confidence. He's shooting the ball well, taking advantage of what he does well. He kind of took the ball at times out of his hands, but still empowered him and given him an opportunity to be a playmaker at times. And so, it's a credit to Bledsoe where now he's figuring things out and he's able to go out and be that player that everyone, thought he might be a few years ago. But it also speaks to Budenholzer and what he's done with this team. All those other teams that you talked about, everyone was anticipating and expecting. Philly had high hopes for Philly, Boston, Toronto as well. But this is the team that's kind of surprised there. They weren't quite sure.
And been at the top.
And they were kind of like a second-tier playoff team.
Right. It was Giannis and what else, right?
Exactly.
Who else is around? Even as good as Brogdon was,
right.
But they got even deeper because, Coach, now you look at Mirotic, right, and his addition and what he does spacing the floor. Their younger players, even DJ Wilson and the likes of him, have played better. There's a lot of confidence. Should Milwaukee be getting, especially when you look at where they're seated right at the top, more national credit and conversation for their opportunity to, regardless of talent, take Boston and Philadelphia and Toronto and get to the finals this year?
I think so, because they realized that they needed some help in certain spots. One was getting long-range shooting, so Mirotic winds up, helping in that situation. The other is going back to the Bledsoe deal. We said last night on the show that Bud may have been the best thing that's happened to Bledsoe and as far as his career goes, because he's taken a youngster with tremendous talent and taught him what basketball's about in the NBA and what you have to be in the position that you're in the role that you're in. I think it's another example of a player maturing over the years. Year 1, year 2, he's not ready. Now you get him into year 3, year 4, year 5 of their careers, and you see that talent as it's molded and shaped by various coaches, how it develops along the way. That's a player also developing himself, doing the right things, putting the extra work in, changing diets, losing weight, changing your body type. All of those things, I think, come with maturity. That's why I think everybody should go to college for 4 years and nobody can come into the NBA at an early age.
Well, that's going to go far, Coach.
Yeah, I know.
That'll go far. Although, as your school, Nova, has proven, guys come out after 4 years. Think about how well they have played, all with that acumen, that basketball IQ. And by the way, speaking of which, Malcolm Brogdon's so important for that team. We'll see what happens to him long term. For the Spurs, you know, look, their most valuable player, everybody wants to go Pop, but how about what this guy on the floor has done? All-star again, L.A. And we talked about Bledsoe's big night, big season, 5th triple-double of his career. And Coach just talked about, and you talked about, kind of getting to do those other things well. One of them is playing defense. And look, one-on-one against De'Aaron Fox has improved the players we've got at the guard position in this league. Not easy. What'd you see?
Well, I mean, I thought even from the time that Fox caught the ball, Bledsoe was in his way there, and right there, good defense, keeping him in front of him, you know, not letting them get anything off, and of course layers. And so that was impressive. You know, maybe because the Kentucky thing.
I dig in and play defense and try and get a stop. So congratulations to the officials for that, because too many times at the end of a game, you can't dig in and try and stop a guy because they blow the whistle and put him on the line. However, Fox went left, Bledsoe stopped him. Fox backed out to get a running start once again, crossed to the came back, and Bledsoe moved his feet, got his body in there. The strength of his body stopped Fox from turning the corner. Then using the hands defensively, got a deflection, which wound up being the turnover.
And it's interesting because from a coaching standpoint, right, Dave Yeager, coach, gets what he wants. I mean, this is what they want. They want Fox with the ball, one-on-one, everybody away. But on the other side, escapes where they win. Looking to stay at the top of the East, 141-140. Giannis, light night, didn't have to play a ton of minutes, only 17, but Bledsoe, triple-double, 5th of his career. Just shy of yet another triple-double of what's been a great season. But a look at the bench and a W on the board. We'll take a look at Big D next.
Using skill sets and attributes for current players narrowed down through a survey in which GMs and head coaches have weighed in, here are the choices for this week's category. Who plays the best defense in the NBA? Rudy Gobert.
And Rudy Gobert, one of the elite shot blockers in this game, gets it done.
Draymond Green.
Wow, great defense from Draymond Green. Draymond Green has been a one-man defensive team by himself.
Kawhi Leonard.
Blocked by Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard, his hands are so big and he's good at moving his feet.
Now it's up to you to vote for your choice right now on Twitter and help us build the perfect player.
Vote on the NBA TV Twitter page. Your choices. Lots of defensive players of the year here. Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, 2-time defensive player of the year, Kawhi Leonard. And your choice would be?
My choice would be Draymond Green, because you're trying to pick a guy who can guard multiple positions, also can rebound strong enough, also can man the paint, also vocal. I think Kawhi Leonard is the best wing defender. I think Gobert is one of the best at the center spot. But for me, a guy can guard 1 through 5, not better than Kawhi with the 2s and 3s. But then when you start talking about the 4s and 5s, and also keeping everybody on your team accountable, I'm going with Draymond Green.
Yeah, I think Kawhi has shown us that he's the best defender in a pressure, individual man-on-man defender in a pressure
One of those great
situation.
wing scorers out there.
Yes, but that was in a very different light in San Antonio when he had Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and when they were a different team. I think he's expanded his defensive range now at this stage of his career and doesn't get as much credit for it, strangely enough, as he once did. He was seen as a much more feared defender in a Spurs uniform than he's been in Toronto, but he's been really, really good defensively. I think his skill set, he's maybe not as versatile in terms of the number of positions he could guard defensively, but I would like to have his skill set if I'm locked into a series and I got to have one guy lock up another great player. I'd go with Kawhi.
I'm probably going with Kawhi for that particular reason, particularly in a playoff setting. But I'll throw a couple more names who didn't make the cut out there. Paul George and Giannis Antetokounmpo is currently number 1 in the NBA in terms of defensive rating and is built like a velociraptor. And so the arms go out about 12 feet everywhere.
I think one other guy we forget about in this conversation always is Drew Holiday. He's to me the best on-ball perimeter backcourt defender in the league right now. And in an era when everybody's shooting the way guys are shooting, he'd be a very handy defender to have around on your roster. But you're right, Giannis should probably be in this conversation. No offense to Rudy Gobert, who's been fantastic and is a rim protector deluxe. But Giannis is one of those guys who can guard. I would imagine he could guard all 5 spots if need be in a given situation.
Also like Marcus Smart. He won't be up there with all these guys, but I love what he does, the toughness he brings, guarding 1 through 4. He takes those challenges. But I'm with you with Giannis and Paul George. And nothing against Gobert, but we're talking about picking a defensive skill set. Yeah. He blocks shots.
I would say this about Gobert. He does a little more than block shots, but that's his primary job, right? And you see the percentages of guys as they get near the rim against Utah when he's in the game and they go drastically down. So maybe he's a little more of an old school defender, the way we used to think of guys who were rim protectors, but he's as good as it gets when it comes to that particular job.
When I'm stretching the floor and I got guys shooting threes, his impact can be minimized.
Not as switchable. You can take him out away from the rim. It's a different story.
And I don't see his impact in the playoffs. That's the one thing next I want to see him. And it's not just blocking shots. That's when we're talking about defense. You got to be a guy that does more than just block shots when you start picking the perfect defensive player.
Okay, again, there are no write-in votes.
No.
These are your 3 choices. Gobert, Draymond Green, Kawhi Leonard. Vote on the Twitter page. The LA Lakers, they were losing Monday in Memphis. Late in the game, LeBron James had an air ball. There was a charge call as well. They gave up 30 to Mike Conley, and they got very little help from the bench, which produced just 7 points collectively. Later, LeBron left many of us trying to decode the Kings' post-game commentary.
Just stay positive. That's, starts with me. Just got to stay positive, keep knocking on the door. And I feel like if we play like we did tonight, then we got to continue that consistent effort. We'll get us over the hump as we make this push. So, this is a tough loss, obviously. I'm replaying plays throughout my mind right now. It's tough, but just stay positive and just, keep watching the film. Obviously, we're not going to have much on the court practice time because we're playing every other day this week, but, the film session is going to be very key, and how well you got to take care of your body starting tonight because the games are coming. That's what it's about. At this point, if you are still allowing distractions to affect the way you play, then this is the wrong franchise to be a part of, and you should just come and be like, listen, I can't do this. Like, seriously, if you're distracted by playoff pushes and then all the stuff that's been talked about this year, that just come and do your job. We do our job at a high level, and that's not a distraction. That's what you want. That's what you want every game. You want to feel like you're fighting for something.
Those comments have been scrutinized to death over the last 48 hours or so. At the moment, the Lakers sit 11th in the West, 3 back of the San Antonio Spurs. So doing the math here, they'd have to go 15-7 to reach 44 wins, which is the pace San Antonio is on at the moment. That means they'd have to go 16-6 to get to 45 wins, or 17-5 to get to 46 wins, which is what it took to get the 8th spot in last year's playoffs. Make of that what you will. LeBron today, that was from Monday night, repeated today in some form of, I like where we are, 8 times in 7 minutes during his media availability this morning. How about you guys? Do you like where they are right now?
Not 11th. Now, if you're a Laker fan, not at all, because the reason why is this is a team, when you start to watch these games after All-Star break, this is where you want to make their push. They've lost to 2 teams you shouldn't have lost to, the Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Pelicans without Davis.
Without Davis. Yep. And the way they lost, it comes down, this team can score. This team has talent. They have to defend and effort, and I'm not getting a chance to see this. They are having some lapses on the defensive end, and a lot of it is LeBron James. He's going to have to lead this team defensively, in my opinion, Sekou, for them to get back and to be able to have a chance. And this is right here. This is DeLon Wright coming down. You're setting up for a charge for DeLon Wright. No problem. But you got to make the next effort. That's not a dunker, Joakim Noah. Now, look at the distance he's away from his guy. And watch Lance Stevens over there. No one's on the same page. You're putting up your hands right now, and everybody's looking. When you get 3, 4, 5 guys, bench on the court, and coaches going, there's sometimes, Matt, we can do everything right. I rotate right to you, and you hit it. You go, man, I did everything right.
Right.
But when I'm this far away from you and no one knows the rotations, where you gotta know rotation, especially on a team like that with LeBron James. You can play fantastic defense,
right,
and you go, I just got to pat Matt on the back. He's hot tonight. We were there. No, guys are getting wide open shots, and everybody's doing like this and looking at each other and pointing at each other. That's a problem right now for the Lakers.
You hear teams all the time talk about playing on a string defensively. All our guys are connected defensively. This is the most disconnected defensive outfit that I've seen all season in terms of a team that was supposed to be in the playoff mix as of Christmas in that top 4 in the West, and literally the bottom has fallen out. You can blame whatever you want, but they're watching film, Smitty, the next day, just like we are. They're watching these cuts, and they see the lack of effort. And if it starts with LeBron, if you're the leader, the ringleader of this team, you're the guy that everybody's going to in that locker room, that shoot around, first microphone, first camera's in his face every day. If you're not going to lead by example, it's going to be very tough for you to say anything after these games when you know Kyle Kuzma is watching the same film. You know Brandon Ingram, Lance Stevenson, everybody on this roster, Matt, Smitty, they're watching the exact same film. The helpless routine, it doesn't lie on film, and it permeates an entire group. And I think LeBron has to be very careful about what he says now these last 20-plus games. You have to be careful that you're not speaking into existence some of the issues that you're warning against. These guys need somebody to uplift them. They need somebody to blow confidence into them as a young group, because your young guys are the ones you're counting on for the energy. Ingram and Kuzma, to their credit, have responded. But you need somebody to blow some positive energy into this group. And they need a 3 or 4 game stretch where they reel off some wins. The problem is the games that on paper look like they would be opportunities for that have turned out not to be.
Right.
They got lumped up by the Hawks. They've allowed some teams who weren't supposed to do what they did to them to really derail this stretch run of the season. You got to be careful now, because now you got all these other forces, outside forces, playing on a pressure-packed situation for a group of guys that LeBron keeps reminding us have never been here before. They don't understand how to fight and be in the moment.
Well, that's the preseason, Matt.
Good.
The reality show. It's a reality show, and it's still going to be a reality show, and it brings in more people now when you're losing it. Now, look at it. We talked about it. We all know Luke Walton was on the hot seat real early in the season. I don't know how much he's engaged of what's going on. All these guys been mentioned. The entire roster was mentioned in the trade. So those guys are young. Sekou said it best. You got to find a way right now is we got to get stops. Stops, energy, effort, like each other, and play hard. They're not playing extremely hard right now on the defensive end.
Well, I know they miss Lonzo Ball defensively, of course, and he's going to miss his 14th straight game with that ankle injury. But this was a basically average defensive team before LeBron came back. They were 13th in the league in defensive rating. But in the 8 games since he returned, 28th in the league in defense. All right, more coming up here. First, a check of the TNT schedule tomorrow night. It is Wednesday, right? Tomorrow night. Sometimes I lose track.
It is
Sixers and the